Hello everybody, it's Friday night and it is Weekender time once more, and we have a jam-packed show filled with all sorts of fun stuff for the tabletop, bringing you up to speed with what's happened since Salute. We get to jump into some Halo. Lloyd gets very confused about Thomas the Tank Engine and his heroic scale 10mm stuff, so that's fascinating. As well as all of that, we also have a big bundle of prizes, Age of Sigmar wise, from store.ontabletop.com. We have both the Stormcast Eternal Spearhead and the Flesh Eater Quartz Spearhead. So if you want a chance to be a winner there, you need to pop a comment below on YouTube, be a subscriber to the channel, and if you're lucky, you and a friend could be starting into Age of Sigmar. Now, sit back and relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by Ben, John and Brother Lloyd. Hello.
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 To catch you all up on what's been happening in the wonderful world of miniature gaming.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And board and card games as well, probably.
Hola.
Maybe.
So it's been a while. We've been away. We've been saluting. Saluting was good, clean family fun. And if people haven't seen it, we've did a ton of videos and talked to some really nice people.
And before that, we were gallivanting around the forest like Robin Hood.
We were. Although I didn't get to shoot any arrows because of the wind. So health and safety.
But surely that's the best time to shoot arrows, when you've got additional height and distance.
Yeah, I could have started to wanted it so I could bend the arrows around trees.
Oh yeah.
That would
obviously whenever you say that, you mean the comic version of Wanted and not the terrible
terrible
movie.
No, obviously the film.
God, that was just the worst. Absolute worst.
James McAvoy in it. It can't be that bad.
It has Star-Lord in it as well, but still terrible.
Oh God.
But yeah, anybody who's interested in catching up with Salute, we've got a live blog, and over on the YouTube, you can join the OnTableTop clips. Mm-hmm. Or is it OnTableTop Live?
OnTableTop Live.
OnTableTop Live channel, and see all of the vids that we did there, because we talked to designers, we talked to game clubs, we talked to all sorts of people. We even talked to Ronnie Renton, who was more or less on topic, which is astounding.
Madness.
Yeah. So if you haven't subbed to that, you should, because when we're at the events, you'll get all the stuff as it's hitting the channel, rather than playing catch up all bloody weekend. But if you do want to play catch up, just go and visit the live blog on our site, because it has even more stuff, even more pictures, even more reports, all sorts of stuff going on there.
Very good.
You can pop over to ontabletop.com, and our live blog is currently living up here at the top at the moment. That may disappear, in which case you'll have to scroll down to find us, or just search where it says search. You've been on the internet before. This isn't your first day. Work it out, folks. Also, we are a month in. Almost 8 weeks in.
Yeah, possibly.
Wow. No, it is a month. Sorry. I forgot. It's the end of March, not the start of March. Spring Clean Challenge. So yeah, we were a month into that.
Time is a strange concept.
It is. And if people are unaware of the Spring Clean Challenge, it's a chance to dust off miniatures and projects abandoned in boxes all around your house. Assuming that your houses are like mine. Dig in there, have a wee nosy at what you've got, and think, oh, you know what? Rather than chucking more money as a different project, why not finish off something that I already have? And as you can see, there are a ton of people doing all sorts of things, from Star Wars Legion, Starlight, World War II.
She's back again.
a whole Galvy bucket. There's
John's
even
doing
a
stuff.
John.
I'm doing stuff.
Puppetry Wars. And these forest-based elves as well, the Wildgeist. So there's a whole host of projects in there that people have dug out from the old days when it was all abandoned, and now they're going to finish it off. And there's even a chance of some prizes.
Yeah. So we've got some £25 vouchers. Well, we've got some vouchers to go in from Warlord Games. So if you want to dive over and get involved, there's some runners-up vouchers and some winners vouchers. And then the folks at the Army Painter are also supplying a big mega prize as well, where you can get your hands on those lovely war paints, a sort of like a big Brucey bonus. at the end of it as well.
Hey,
always handy for finishing off projects, having more paints.
Yeah.
Before you move on, what was your favorite thing, Salute?
That's an interesting question. I'm glad you asked it.
Because you were there all weekend. I want to know. I wasn't there. I was watching the blog.
My favorite thing was Moonstone, and I had a very long chat with Tom. Unfortunately, we were not on camera for that one because that was the night before when they just finished setting up. I was like, we'll be back tomorrow. And then Salute happened, and I could not get back to that corner again.
It was far too busy at that point.
Which is absolutely criminal. But beyond that, Oshiro's castle, the Gorada castle, is absolutely insane. Love that to bits. And the Lordies had a Russian tractor factory battle, Stalingrad, about 12 foot long, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which was, again, amazing. I think for me, it's the tables. The tables and the games that people put on are the real standout for Salute, because it's what it's all about.
There was a fantastic Vietnam War table that was just absolutely packed full of amazing miniatures and terrain. And then that was at one side of the hall. And on the other side of the hall, there was a Vietnam table that had been done by the folks at Rubicon. Yeah. Because they'd done like a really cool sort of like village river setting as well, which was
One
really
of
nice.
these Nam trees, the one that they use my tree technique for making palm trees?
Possibly. I mean, they stole it off you. So they even did a vertical, there's some pictures of it in the blog actually, so you can go and check it out. But there's a vertical slice of a Vietnamese or a Viet Cong tunnel system with the Marines on the top and then all the soldiers in the middle, which is very nice. It looks like a little ant farm, which is very cool.
Oh, vertical. Does that go down into the table, or is that like just a separate thing on its own?
Oh, it's like a separate display thing that they did for it. So you couldn't really play on it, but it looked very nice. And then also there was the Best in Show table that they did, which was the Cornish folks who did some really cool stuff.
Wargames Association. Yeah, Lee and stuff had a cog-based naval game.
Never mind the boat hooks game, which has been expanded on again. Once there's another version of that rule set up for skirmish games, just so you know. But
what about in terms of minis and stuff, guys? Like from my perspective, looking in at what you guys are doing, the most exciting things I could see in terms of releases was what Warlord were getting up to with their new Romans and stuff. What's that, sort of an epic scale? Is that like their 13.5 mil sort of scale?
Heroic,
which we will
10
talk about
mil,
later.
yes.
So yes.
Yeah, I love that scale. I think it's great.
Yeah.
You are the only one who thinks it's great.
What are you talking about? Loads of other people think it's great. Don't you?
Match that to trains, right?
It's really simple. If anybody wants to play Greeks or something, Numidians or whatever it happens to be, they have to wait years for it to truck along.
Who wants to play all those?
Everyone, the
Romans.
The Med's a big place, and the Romans need to be slapped down by people.
Yes, but then you can play it in sort of real time. On this date,
waiting
as
years.
The armies are released. Now we shall play the campaign in here and in here.
I don't have that long
ooh,
left.
This matches up pretty much with the time scale it would have been.
I 100% do not have the time left to wait for that. I mean, any day now, my liver and kidneys are just going to go, no, I've had enough McCabe. Move on, son.
Right, if you don't have time
I need stuff immediately. Immediately, if not sooner. Anyway.
What about, I know Justin was talking to Chris over at Warcradle. Did you guys see the Warcradle stuff for the Armored Clash? Because I was looking at the video going, ooh, they're a lot bigger than I thought they were going to be. Because when I was thinking about Armored Clash, I was thinking, there's just these little tiny little tank things. This looked like a brick that you could smash people with. It was huge.
I'm assuming it's a bigger scale than Dystopian Wars. I don't know if scale was mentioned in the video. I don't think it was, because it is so massive. When you look at the Dystopian Wars fleets, I mean, some of the ships are relatively big, but yeah, that land ship, like a mouse on steroids, or even what was the big one, the rat. It's absolutely
that one
insanely
had
big.
The big, I don't know.
Oh, there was a set with 4 tracks on it. It was like a whole city coming towards you. It was like that thing with
Mortal Zones or whatever it was.
Yeah. It was like that.
What was it called? Yeah, it was called that, wasn't it?
No, not
Mortal Engines.
Mortal Engines, that's it. Yeah. The movie that nobody wanted to see.
But yeah, they were absolutely redonkulously big. That's
only 2 though. I mean, flip
a brick of resin.
Bring more than 2 for us to look at, eh?
Well, can't have everything.
There'll be more previews in the coming weeks, I'm sure. Wink, nod, nod. So,
Right.
And then what about whoa.
What?
Actually, I was going to talk about Mantic, but I'm looking at the wrong order. I think it's coming up.
We will talk about these things in
I'll
time.
Save that.
or we just talk about it all now, Lloyd, and then we skip the middle bit of the show.
I see we're going to talk about Warlord later. Forget it. Move on.
I'm so glad I write these things.
Yeah. I still read them, Ben. Don't worry. Right.
Consider that just a little preview of what's coming.
There we go, yeah.
You know, like those fashionable YouTubes in this episode.
Oh, God, I hate those.
Smash cut. There we go.
Right. It's time to move on to the most important part of the show. It is time for the indie of the week. And this week is somebody else we saw at Salute, but tragically didn't get to. So we thought we'd highlight them now. And it is Sythopian Wars.
Yes.
So, Benjamin, this is an interesting one.
Yeah. So we first came upon Sythopian Wars and their sort of dark sci-fantasy style world. I think it was in 2022. Back in the annals of history.
That was at UKGE that year.
It was, yes. We went and saw their table. This was before their first Kickstarter came out. But they had this.
Wow.
Yeah, they had this amazing selection of factions, 2 factions that they set up to diving into this. Comes from 2 brothers.
Hold on. They had this amazing selection of factions. 2 factions.
With more to come. And I was about to talk about the miniatures. Thank you very much.
If you wait to the end of the sentence, Lloyd, it makes more sense.
But it doesn't make any sense. The amazing array of factions. 2 factions.
Because you stopped in mid-sentence.
So they had the Confederation.
Okay, let's go. Let's hear.
That's why they call it a sentence.
They had the Confederation and the Asylumists, but they were also working on the Host and a couple of more that they've got waiting in the wings. But yes, they had a successful Kickstarter campaign where they were able to bring their starter set to life and the core miniatures for both of those 2 initial factions, so the Asylumists and the Confederation. They also showed us some stuff for things like the Host, the Jakaran, and all the rest of them as well. And this was the starter set that they initially developed. So the range is kind of, think 32 mil heroic, but all the models are much bigger than that. So they come in around sort of like 35 millimeter to 40 mil. So big chunky walkers and all that kind of thing.
It's good to know that, because when I immediately looked at this, I was getting Age of, or was it Antares sort of vibes off this?
Gates of Antares.
Gates of Antares vibes. Yeah. So you're telling me the models are bigger than that then?
Yeah, they're big chunky boys.
Even your standard troopers?
Yeah, so they're coming in around that kind of like 35 millimeter height. They're big constructs and all sorts of different things like that. So you have the Confederation forces, which is sort of like, I mean, it's weird to say the good guys because there are no real good guys in Sythopian Wars, but this is like think of them as sort of like humanity effectively. But essentially, as they've gone through, they've decided we don't need to keep these people walking around in their meat suits. Let's put them inside big mechanical constructs like this.
And they have never been happier.
Exactly. And send them out into the battle. You'll have noticed on their core troops, so the dudes with sort of like their rifles and things.
Yeah.
If you go back to that one, they have those screens in front of their faces.
I have an idea for them.
Are you going to put like little smiley faces on them?
No,
like,
I thought if you put a blob of paint on there and then put like a thumbprint on, as if it's their own fingerprint sort of thing representing them, would be kind of freaky.
But apparently in the lore, it's kind of like a Big Brother is watching you style thing. So that's where like the face of like their general or whatever, or the face of an individual is on there, and they kind of like go, you need to walk into battle, you must fight for the, our city and all that kind of thing.
It's very similar to Kane from RoboCop 2 is what they are.
And so there's always this kind of like omnipotent presence amongst them, sort of watching over what they do on the battlefield. And they're almost effectively this huge clanking section of like convicts and troopers that have been sort of pushed into the heart of battle. On the other side of things,
you have RoboCop 2. That's awesome. You could rip your head off for a can of beans.
You must comply. You've also got these guys, which is the Asylumists. So these are huge cities that are just filled with people who have gone off the deep end, and they are like cannibals and all sorts of different things like that. And they've meshed together their bodies, their sort of like human bodies, with mechanical bits and pieces, and they just effectively get thrown into a big corpse grinder of combat on the tabletop. So they are just maddened, crazy machines that sort of walk forward and tear you to pieces and things. So as I said, no real good guys when it comes to Sythopian Wars. Yeah. These are the initial factions that they came up with and developed and brought to the Kickstarter and onto the tabletop. All the miniatures, I should say, are developed in resin, so you're about to get them as nice little resin miniatures for you to drop onto the tabletop. So there's a good option there. They do also do STL files as well. So if you're interested in picking up stuff digitally and printing it to add to your armies, you can do. So you can use those for personal means and all that kind of stuff, which is really good. And as I say, they've expanded the range and developed it with
Hey, they look
larger
metal.
miniatures. Yeah, but no, that's just the renders. Those ones,
Yeah.
just to show you what they. Just to show that it's different from the rest.
We'll say there's even a standee.
There's even a print and play.
Play to test the game, which is kind of funky.
As I said, we sort of showed off a little bit of a preview of them earlier. They are also doing more factions. So their Kickstarter, which is coming up later this summer, potentially towards the end of summer, is going to look at developing the host, which is that sort of weird abomination style, creepy, gribbly faction. I think every game needs to have something like that, and they're going to be dropping into the mix, which will be quite cool. The other thing that's quite nice about this, and you can see it from what Jerry's looking through here.
Oh, I don't like that at all. It's like an iron lung.
Yes,
Just lying there.
Yeah, he's lying backwards, looking up. Yeah.
Yes.
That freaks me out.
Yeah. Well, there you go. They've immediately won you over with the weirdness of painting that one, I suppose. But the thing that's quite nice, and you can see what Jerry's looking at here, is that all of the rules are free for you to download and play. So if you wanted to get something like that print and play set and have a go at the game Sythopian Wars, you can do already. They've got all of the rules for the initial 2 factions, but then they've also got all the playtest stuff for different factions. So if you want to go and find miniatures, you can do and bring them to the tabletop and just sort of like, well, I'll use these as stand-ins to represent some of the other creatures. I mean, that's some of the stuff that's coming up as part of the Kickstarter later this year, which just looks wild.
So I know they say corpse crabs, but I get a very tick feel from these big blood bags wobbling along.
Oh, that would be a cool way of painting, especially with the burst one.
Let's not say that again. Blood bags.
Blood bag burst.
Blech. It's up there with moist. You might as well say moist bags.
Squamous. Don't use squamous enough, I feel, in life.
Somewhere Del Toro is really liking the look of these miniatures. I would say. They've got that kind of vibe to them. The game itself is pretty cool. So it's all done off a D6 system, so it all just runs off your standard dice. And the way that it works is you assign commands to particular units. Units can be given multiple commands per turn, so it's kind of like you say, oh, these guys are going to run, etc., etc. These guys are going to shoot. You can apply multiple orders to certain units, but certain times you'll get like a limit to how much they can do. So, like for example, they might get a shoot ban or something effectively at the end of the turn, so they can't do that again. But you could move multiple times or do special actions and that kind of stuff. The actual then fighting is done on like as I say, with D6s. You roll underneath a stat. In most cases, it's the resolve of the unit, and then whether or not you're shooting or attacking, you do different things based on the force damage of your weapons. There's some cool stuff in there in terms of like mechanics when it comes to sort of shooting. So with shooting, you have to lock on to a target before you then do the damage to them, because all these weapons are meant to be like new age strange technology and they haven't quite grasped how they work. So they have to like control them and then aim them at the right place, and then you shoot your targets and you do damage to them. In combat, it's just like a bloodbath. So when you get up close, you are just ripping people apart. Don't have to worry about locking.
Are you
on
rolling
to
for
people.
wounds then? Because like if you've already rolled to target them and are then
So you roll to
shoot.
target, and then you do damage based on the weapon's force value effectively. So you roll lock on and then you do damage based on that.
So you get to
can't-
celebrate twice. You go like lock on and go, and then you do the damage and go again.
The cool thing as well is that you can't do more damage than what you've locked onto. So it kind of has that nice sort of follow on to it, which I think is quite a nice little thing. They've really delved into all sorts of interesting things in terms of the mechanics and the activation things. You've got reactions in there as well. So it's not just kind of like I do all my turns and then you do all yours. So there's like a back and forth between people, and then you've got the reactions. There's another nice little thing that they've added in as a rule called the spoil of war. So spoils of war. So if you go first, obviously the second player will have the last activation. If they choose to keep that activation as one and not a reaction, they get to do something in their turn that the opponent cannot do anything against, effectively, because they don't have any tokens left. So it's a really nice thing of like, oh, I'll wait, and then I'll do this really big hit at the end of the turn. This is kind of like a nice balancing mechanic.
Show us the grey versions there, Jay, with no paint on.
Okay. The specifically those guys have an interesting rule. So the ones in the middle, then, if you're looking at the grey, where because whenever you assign an order, they get restricted the following turn. They are actually convicts.
Yes.
And you can choose to sacrifice one out of the unit to try and remove a restriction.
Yeah.
Which means you can potentially then spam a bit, but at the detriment of an ever decreasing size of squad. But that's countered by the fact that in Sythopian Wars, you can split squads down and recombine them as long as they have the same name, which is something a lot more games should be doing, because you shouldn't be seeing little 1-man, 2-man, 3-man squads
why would
running
you
around.
not join the other
Why would they
squad?
not all get back together?
That does annoy me, especially in Saga, for example.
Yeah. So that's kind of funky. I like
because you're trying to murder them all, and two guys leg it off the table and don't fight you. So annoying.
So it's nice to see them sort of jump on. They've done an interesting thing with the background and the lore for it as well. There's a timeline somewhere, and I've lost it now. I'm not sure how I've lost it, but
I thought it was just on the lore page. I think it was, but
there it is.
There we go.
Timeline.
It's not on the lore page. This is a brief timeline of where they're up to, and these just contain very little, sort of a small bit of text about what's happening at a specific point, which is all, delightful. However, it begins with the awakening, which is everybody wakes up one morning and nobody knows how they got there. Essentially, the entire planet is just, who are we? Why are we here? Is this my home? So
I think I should build an asylum city.
So that starts off with a WTF moment. Are you some sort of petri dish of a planet that other aliens have done, collected and dropped you all together? And that would be fine, except then that the Sin Cern, which is some sort of massive artifact come technology, exploded one day, ripping a massive scar in the world and scattering it. So if you were part of an experiment on this planet, nobody's really entirely certain. Yeah. Nobody's coming back to check. Their magnifying glass has been broken. Nobody can take a look at you anymore. Good luck, Skipper. Make the best of it, I suppose. So yeah, I like this because it's a very accessible way of seeing the sort of the backstory, because there's no walls of text. Then obviously within the lore itself, there's short stories in there if you like more.
This
background.
Isn't necessarily Earth then.
Who knows?
Earth?
Could be.
Your guess is as good as anybody else's, because they've all just woke up here in this weird place. If it is, it's so far in the future to be removed from anything we know. But yeah, so you get the accessible, the quick and easy route in via the different ages. We're currently in the 4th age. It's all good. And then, like I say, if you fancy a bit more meat on the bones for the background, then they have all of these, and that's really nice, because accessibility of fantasy and sci-fi backgrounds for new games is often a problem. Simply because you either hand somebody a novel and go read that, or
here's the Horus Heresy.
Yeah, or alternatively, you go, here's a brief summation, and then there's nothing else there. So depending on how much you like delving into your backgrounds, there's two just, not quite extremes, but you've got 2 entry points there, whether you want the more in-depth build-up, which will also obviously explain some of what the factions are up to and how things are going horribly wrong as well. I do enjoy horribly wrong.
I think they've struck a good balance with it. I think it's really cool.
Ooh, I know what I would do with those faces. If you drill them out and put a little magnet in it, you could have a selection of faces and stick them on like Thomas the Tank Engine for different expressions.
So when they're winning, you do the smile, and when they're bad, you do like an angry face. And then when they're dead, you put a little poop emoji on them.
This for the who do we call them, the convicts again?
Yeah.
Surely it'd be easier just to hollow all those out and put tiny little LCD screens in.
But then you wouldn't have that old school Thomas.
Blinky.
That is true. You would not have. You would not have a Thomas the Tank Engine look.
And to be fair, I'd kind of like to do just a barcode on the screen.
That'd be cool.
Oh yeah.
Lean into that whole convict, nameless, faceless thing.
You are 3245.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one cares. But yeah, the thing that, as I said, I think they've really struck a good balance with the miniatures and the design and the sort of way that they're developing it. Having it all accessible as rules for free, and then having the print and play thing, I think, is a really good option as well. The fact that it's effectively just 3 guys, so a couple of brothers and their friend Paul, I think is great. So it definitely is in that sort of indie realm. And as I say, they are going to be coming back to Kickstarter with the host stuff and potentially more as well in the near future.
They go to UKG again?
Possibly.
Were they at Salute?
They were at Salute, yeah. They had
yeah.
a demo table that they were showing off. There was a lot of people around there enjoying the game, so hopefully that helped them out as well. Very cool. So
Just realised back on the face thing, because I'm hooked on it now. We need to make QR codes and make them decals and put them on them and have the QR codes lead to something.
Oh, to like some story about the story.
Each individual convict, and the QR code is what they were imprisoned for.
Yeah, just their list of
rolls.
crimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be fascinating to see where they go. Hopefully, we'll be chatting with the guys and also playing some games of it as well in the not too distant future. So keep your eye out for that, and we'll have a go. I know we've got a very early pre-production copy in the studio. Might have to dig that out, John, and push them around the table and see how it goes.
Yep.
But yeah, Sythopian Wars. Check it out, folks. I will be back shortly.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
Okay, we're back, and it's time for the news. And as we've already mentioned, there's a big Galvy boatload of the stuff coming your way.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to kick it off with what Warlord have been showing off at Salute, and what Osprey teased. And by teased, I mean outright told everybody at Salute, even though they shouldn't have. Shh.
As Alessio went around saying, no, don't talk about that.
But we can skip half the news. We've already talked about it.
Good times. 100%, I will.
Well, yeah, the announcement this week from the folks at Warlord Games and Osprey was that the 3rd edition of Bolt Action is going to
It's not really an announcement, though. It's more of a confirmation.
Well, yes, it's going to be coming later this year in September, and pre-orders are already up for that book. This is going to be Cavatore returning to his baby once again to bring it back to the tabletop with some revamps and some updates and some tweaks here and there. It still retains a lot of what made Bolt Action. So there's still the dice in the bag mechanic. It's still D6 based. It's still got all the things that you know and love about the game. But they have just said that they're going to be sort of streamlining a lot of the processes and trying to make it a lot easier for new people to dive into the game and have some fun with it. I know Alessio had said that they're now going to be working on effectively 5 starter armies straight out of the book. So there'll be lists for Great Britain, for the USA, for your Soviets, your USSR, the Germany, and the Imperial Japanese. So be able to do all of your European and all of your Pacific conflicts straight out of the book, which is great. There will also be additional PDFs coming out to support other nations before they get armies of books in the future. So in the past, they've done things like armies of Britain, armies of the United States, etc. Yep. That's still going to be coming out, and they're going to be doing revamps of those to try and take you deeper into those factions. But there'll be those initial 5 nations, effectively, rather than factions, I guess, that you'll be able to dive into and have some fun with. So a lot of people don't like them when I call them factions; they're nations. There we go.
In the short term, then, when this comes out, there's going to be 5 lists, essentially, is what you're saying. 5 ways of making lists.
5 updated lists officially, and then the PDFs hopefully soon after for some of the other ones. So
there's going to be a few months where some people have armies and they don't necessarily have rules to play this then.
Potentially, yeah. Although it'll be interesting to see how different things are between last edition and this one. Like maybe you could retrofit a few things. I know they've already said that campaign and theatre books will be valid moving into the new edition, but then again, a lot of that is just scenario based stuff and the history behind that. So
there's a lot of lists in those books.
That is true, actually. So it'll be interesting to see how much of that carries through, I suppose.
Yeah, but, I'd be very surprised if it's such a sea change that you can use your existing army book. So if, for example, you are running Finns or Japanese, maybe. Did they mention Japanese?
Japanese will be in there,
yeah. I mean, if
The Chinese instead, perhaps. There you go.
Yeah, but if you're running those and you've already got the army book for Imperial Japan, then you're probably going to be able to just run the list as per. You just need to see whatever the tweaks are or changes.
Yeah, I know they've said that they're going to do a new force selection system as well that's designed to try and make more thematic armies. So rather than it be the case that somebody just comes to the table with the best list full of flamethrowers and the best tanks and all that kind of thing, so you basically can't do anything.
Yeah, because the way it currently is the sort of like your main nation has like a couple of special rules for being that nation, and then beyond that, it's really the picking of your veterancy limit of whatever vehicle or squad you have. So there's not a lot of, unless you go through the campaign books and they change a few things, like there's not a lot of theming the force straight out of the Armies of book, for example. The Armies of is basically just the army list.
Yeah. So
mostly tweaks then. Like if you don't like bold action, you're still not going to like bold action.
Probably,
and if you love bold action, you'll be like, yeah, this is fine. I still love bold action.
Pretty much, I think. Yeah.
And what about a starter set? Are they going to come out with a brand new?
There will be a new starter
edition?
set. They have said that's going to be coming alongside that. So there'll be.
Did they say what was going to be in it?
I can't remember if they officially said, so I'm not going to.
They have not officially said, because I don't think it's due until September.
Some things were mentioned to me, but I can't talk about them. So, but there will be a new starter set coming out to support the game and stuff like that. And
you need to meet me after class, then, Ben.
I would imagine after the with the announcement of those new starter lists, those starter armies for the different nations, I would assume we're probably going to see box sets that are themed around those as well. So you'll be able to probably dive in, pick one of those up, and just effectively just start playing the game, which would be really cool. But yes, we shall see where it goes in the future. I think it all sounds good. I mean, I enjoy bolt action.
The only mistake they're making is not converting it to 13.5 mil. That would be amazeballs if they did that.
Epic battles bolt action.
Epic battles bolt action.
It would make the weapon ranges actually accurate.
Well, that would be interesting. A lot of people have talked about
10
that.
10 mil.
So. Yeah.
Sorry, heroic 10 mil.
13.5 mil.
Interesting thing as well, a lot of people have talked about Conflict 47 because of that runs off the first edition rules for bolt action, I believe. Or is it?
Did it move to 2?
1.5, I thought.
1.5.
Yeah.
They were both being made at the same time. And then Conflict came out and just slightly before and has this weird 1.5 mishmash, so it doesn't work off either. It actually has some interesting mechanics that I felt bolt action could have done with, like the reactions and stuff. But
this is the prime opportunity for Warlord to look at something like that and to maybe get more people involved in bolt action, and then therefore Conflict 47 or Conflict 47 and therefore bolt action, because the range basically works together with all the stuff they did in the pulpy side of things. So
I'm not sure though if the rules are so similar, why can't they not update them both at the same time?
Because this is not a bolt action it's not a Warlord product. It's the game itself comes from Clockwork Goblin and then with using part of the bolt action system. So that's one of the reasons why it's slightly different, because it's not the same team worked on both. Clockwork Goblin were writing a new edition using bolt action-ish bits.
Ish.
Because they also have the smaller scale stuff that they still do themselves as well. So, I mean, some of that will come down to licensing.
Yeah, and I know that Warlord have said that they do want to do more stuff for Conflict 47, and I think they've mentioned it in the past on blogs and all sorts of things. So hopefully,
Clockwork Goblins haven't been saying anything then.
Well, I think they're very much in the ether at the moment, but we'll have to see where it goes in the near future, I guess. But
they've been doubling down on their 15 mil stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, Bolt Action 3rd edition coming later this year in September. We'll be doing plenty of stuff about that in the run up to it, and obviously when it launches as well. So watch out for that in the future. Very, very cool indeed.
Sweet to the beat, but not all, as we've already mentioned. There is the heroic 10s coming from
13.5.
So yes, announced slightly before a salute and then fully revealed at the event was the fact that Warlord Games have done all of their black powdery goodness, and now they are diving into the ancient period with Epic Battles Hail Caesar. So you'll be able to dive in and play around with your awesome Gauls, your Romans, and your Carthaginians, and potentially more in the near future in that 13.5/15mm/epic scale on the tabletop. We had a good chat with, well, you had a good chat with Colin about it.
Yeah.
And it's all sounding like it's very much in line with what they've done previously. There's going to be lots of fun and interesting plastic releases, Warlord resin stuff as well coming out to support the line. I know a lot of people are very excited about war elephants. Seems to be a lot of war elephant love in the world, which I think is quite nice. It'll be fun to see where they go with the range. I think one of the nicest things was the development of the new plastic kits.
Yeah,
because obviously they have to be slightly more close.
Don't we have more sprue shots somewhere?
There's some stuff in the video where we showed off the sprues and things.
Yeah, you should totally do that if you can find it, Jay. So I think there's even some better shots of the actual armies and stuff in the video when the camera's panning about.
But yeah, so the sprues themselves, as we'll see them as we go in, but they've been developed so that the front rank has the front, the back rank has the back, and then when they sandwich together, the middle rank is just helmets and weapons. So it sort of snaps together as a unit, which I think is quite cool. There you go.
There we go.
That's kind of cool.
Pause. Oh, almost. Wait. That'll do. Hey, that's even better.
There we go. So that gives you an idea of how they've sort of retooled those, which I think is a really nice idea because it makes it a lot easier for painters diving into this game in this scale, which is very cool.
Also means you can actually get 3 ranks onto a base.
Yes.
As opposed to 2, which is the sort of current thing for ACW and Napoleonics.
Yes. Yeah. So it all seems to be going in the right direction. I think it'd be very cool. I know a lot of people when they first announced the Epic Battles range were like, when are we doing ancients? When are we doing when are we doing the big mass ranks of shields and Romans and Gauls?
What about the shields? Are these hand painted shields or were there transfers on these shields?
I don't actually remember what they
I believe they're hand painted. But you can go to Veni Vidi Vici and pick up a set of transfers.
There you go.
What? At this scale?
Yeah.
There's a recommendation from the Jerry Meister.
God, yeah. Go to 3V.
But as you can see, lots of fun bits and pieces in there. They're following the same route as they've done for Epic Battles in the past. So you've got all of your plastic infantry and things and your cavalry and elements. And then you've got the little wound counters that they do for these as well, which will come out later on down the line. They've done those for...
I still think those wound counters, you just cut the number out. Cut in there, cut that wedge, and then just get yourself one of those little disc dials.
Yes.
Are they plastic?
Yeah.
Even the little wedge, even the counters are plastic?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then just stick it on top of a disc dial, and it means then that instead of having, a handful with different numbers on it, then you can go up to, 10 per counter, which just gives you a lot more flexibility with that.
Yeah. I think one of the nice things about the Epic Battle stuff is that it's drawn a lot. It's drawn quite a lot of people to the smaller scales and also playing these periods. Like I know a lot of people who were put off by the idea of making huge armies in 28mm for Napoleonics, American Civil War, Pike and Shot, etc., and the English Civil War, and then now Ancients in this case. The 28mm stuff was putting them off, whereas this smaller scale, I think, allowed them to make those big armies and have fun with those rules and enjoy them on scale.
Well, so it's a really great way of portraying a proper battle, not just a skirmish.
Yes. Yeah. It's we saw that when they initially released the Waterloo stuff. That actually felt like the battle playing out, even though it was even bigger than that.
Wow, look at that!
Look at that! Whoa, lovely goal.
Are they staying ancient, so they're going to do Dark Age eventually?
Well, they didn't say, I don't believe, but I would assume they're probably going to stay in this Ancients period, I would guess, for this one. But you never know. Hail Caesar has rules for Dark Age stuff as well. So if you send in enough emails, Lloyd, they might start to do shield walls of Saxons and Vikings instead. So we'll see. It all looks very cool.
It's going to be interesting. I'm glad that it's not Imperial Rome, because everybody does early Imperial Rome. So it's nice to see somebody out there who isn't running around looking like a Hollywood Roman, regardless of what the period or era is. They all look the same in Segmentum. And so Punic Wars is a bit more interesting.
That period would be more interesting anyway, because the Romans have more bodies to go and fight. More bodies.
Yes.
We know whose side you're on then, Lloyd.
The fascists of the ancient world were the good guys.
What did the Romans ever do for us? Everything. I think you should subscribe to their mantra.
It's all good in the hood, they tell me. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what else they do. Obviously, Waterloo, because it is just Waterloo, is very restrictive and prescriptive. Punic means they can go a bit wider.
Yeah.
But it would be nice then if they broadened it just beyond the people who'd be involved just in the Punic Wars. Everybody wants to see Persia kicking off.
Very much so.
I
think people would love to see big ranks of Greeks with their phalanx and all that kind of stuff. It'd be very nice.
And this scale would suit it. Because the phalanx wouldn't be like this bloody length.
It would be little. You'd only hurt your hand if you leant on the table rather than leaning over it. So,
and you have to lean a lot further down to put your eye out.
This is why we all wear glasses as nerds, to protect us from the spears. Yeah,
they're safety glasses now.
I put corks on the end of all the spears. Safer that way. Right.
Yeah.
So, Punic Wars done, dusted, upcoming. People will be looking forward to that. Dark Ages, we do have a bit for you though. Young Lloyd.
Sneak something in.
Yeah, well, Wargames Atlantic have been announcing some medieval bits and pieces.
Oh, Middle Ages stuff, huh?
Well, technically, Dark Ages is not the correct term. Dark Ages is early Middle Ages.
Early Middle Ages, yes, I suppose. With the T's.
Archaeologists and historians everywhere hate the term Dark Ages.
They do, yes. Francis from Time Team is very adamant that that's the wrong thing, but there we go. Wargames Atlantic, in quite a surprise announcement a couple of weeks ago, said they've been working alongside Hobdy and Hicks, that lovely detective partnership, who do the Barons War, if people know that. And they have sculpted up a set of plastic miniatures to represent your medieval foot knights for the Age of Chivalry range, which is going to be expanding exponentially in the near future. But this effectively gives you all the miniatures you'd need to build up your knightly forces on the tabletop, really. You get a whole host of bits and pieces in the set to arm your knights with swords, shields, axes, falchions, maces, spears. You got all your different shield designs as well. I know how you like your shield designs, Lloyd.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Oh, you only got one kite shield on there, though.
Oh, well, there you go.
Good. They were very much on their way out.
Yeah. You also get loads of different ways to pose them as well, because obviously this is one of the Wargames Atlantic kits. So you get them with like the helmet under the arm, which I think is really cool, in attacking poses and all that kind of stuff as well, with all the big male coifs around their heads, and there's really awesome helmet designs as well. So if you're looking to do stuff set around things like the Crusades, this is obviously a fantastic set for that. But obviously you could use these to fit into pretty much any element of that kind of early to Middle Ages medieval period as well, which I think is quite nice, and make them fit all sorts of different countries and nations as well, because a lot of the arms and armor were very, very similar between people in England, Britain, and over on the continent as well, in France and Spain and all the other different countries as well. So you've got lots of different options when it comes to this kit, and you can obviously there's no reason why you have to use this for historical bits and pieces. You could easily just tweak it and turn it into something fantastical. If you like building up your kind of like Game of Thrones Westeros style armies, there we go. Lannisters and Starks sorted. Just change a few heads and weapons and all that kind of stuff, add some fur to your characters, and you got your Starks and things. But a really nice looking kit overall, I think, from the folks at Wargames Atlantic. And obviously great for the Barons War if you dive into playing that.
Well, yeah. Or double dunt, go Barons War. I mean, then you could also do the Barons Crusade as well.
You could, yes.
There's a nice set of options on there as well. So there's enough to do, I think, is there 6 per sprue? There's certainly 5 double-handed weapons in there.
Box.
So 6 per sprue. So if you want to go the whole hog with sword and board, or if you want to have some hard-hitting fellows.
What's the date on those? 1100 something. What was it?
1150 to 1320.
1320.
What were the Irish looking like during that period, like the O'Neills and stuff?
Not like that.
Oh.
However, the blow-ins, like Strongbow and friends, who came and started carving off bits of our country, did look like this.
I'll invade you again. Yeah.
Yep. If you go far enough north, there's the McCabe's, who very much look like your Vikings anyway.
Oh, there you go.
Just use Viking models.
You're already on the sprues. You can see there front and center, Jerry. So
that's painted up nicely as William Marshall there.
Because recently, I've been thinking more about doing Irish stuff where O'Neills are kicking the tripe out of who else was big at the time of the O'Neills. Somebody else was big. They were fighting internally. It wasn't necessarily always fighting England.
Oh no. There's always so many people to fight up and down the country.
I was watching that dude from Give My Head Peace. The one who looks like you, Jerry.
Tim.
Tim McGarry.
He's on this little journey about what do they call them? It's going right out of my brain. Ulster Scots. There we go. That popped back in. He's on his little journey to find out about the Ulster Scots, and I was watching it going, there's quite a few areas of we could be kicking the tripe out of each other here without really stepping on any modern stuff.
There you go.
We could be kicking the tripe out of each other long before the next set of planters and stuff come along.
Oh God, yes.
And I say the next set because there's a whole set before that nobody talks about.
There's a book called The Book of Invasions that goes right back. Lloyd explaining everybody who's come in and kicked toes out of everyone and taken over. That could be your research for next week.
As a little bit of a bonus as well, I know that Rob McFarlane, who did the sculpts for this, is also going to be working on doing a set of sergeants as well as levy and a cavalry set as well. So you should be able to cover all the different bases.
In plastics.
In plastics to cover all your different bases. I would assume
they're going to collect this together into like a starter set then as well eventually, once they have all these plastic sets. That would be cool.
Depend on Andy Hobdy himself, I suppose, won't it? Yeah. See what he wants to do for it.
If you could just walk into your game club and go, there you go, Barnes War, slap down, one big box. Let's have at it. Let's get you to paint the horses and let's get you to paint the men.
What you're saying is you want to start a set for the Barons War.
Yeah, but if I walked in and went, let's have at it, nobody would paint anything.
Yeah.
I'd end up painting sheep.
We're still waiting on Rome being built, to be fair.
That's not
maybe if Rome was built, then you get your Barons War.
But yeah, so I'd assume we're going to get sergeants on foot and levy as well with spears and things like that, and less heavy armor, I suppose. And then the cavalry, will be interesting to see what they do. They obviously already have the horses set that they've done in plastic, so maybe we'll just see mounted figures to fit with those. I would assume.
Does the horses set have saddles on it, or are the saddles separate? They're molded to the whoever you're setting on.
Who knows?
Because the plastic horses, if they have saddles on it, won't work because they would need like a saddleless version.
Like I say, who knows? Because their last 2 box sets of plastic cavalry have had different horse sculpts in them.
Oh,
so the Afghan cavalry is not the same horse as the accoutrement. Cav set, which has a separate saddle blanket / saddly thing that fits over. So
maybe they will do something.
They might do something different. They might reuse one of those 2 horses.
Maybe they'll come with all their big coats on and stuff. Horse dresses. Yes.
Horse curtains as far as the eye could see. But yeah, it's impressive they came out of nowhere and just went, we're doing 4 sets.
Yeah.
But yeah, that seems very much to be the Wargames Atlantic method. Hit hard and hit fast.
It landed, and I immediately sent a picture of the box to Lloyd. So
I know, and I immediately shared on Facebook, going, "Look at this!"
He's so happy. Look at his little face.
But yeah,
go and pick up
those footnotes right now. Have some fun.
Right.
Oh, is the set actually out? Oh yes, it's up for pre-order, but is it out yet?
Now? Yeah. So go and buy like 4 boxes.
Yep. or hang on until the boxes come out and buy them all together with the intention of painting them all at the same time, and then
they'll do a bundle offer. I'm sure they will.
Yeah. It's always.
I don't know if I can buy new stuff during Spring Clean Challenge. The whole point is to Spring Clean Challenge the stuff you've got, not buy more stuff and set it down for a day and go, no, that's Spring Clean Challenge.
But you're plotting for next year.
Yeah,
that's what Caesar's planning. He's planning on just stopping working on stuff for a few minutes and then go, I haven't worked on that for a little bit. Now it's Spring Clean Challenge.
Exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
Mm-hmm.
Who defines what time is?
Exactly. Yes. Moving away from the medieval period, we're coming right up to date to the cutting edge.
Do we have to?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We're leaving behind your medieval knights because yes, we'll get to that soon, Lloyd. Jesus God.
What?
I can see what you're looking at on the running order. We'll talk about it in a second.
Well, I'll delete that. Yeah. We'll go there. I'll turn this game around.
So the folks at Spectre Operations have been working on, Spectre Miniatures have been working on a new starter set for Spectre Operations. So this is for those folks who want to dive into their modern military combat on the tabletop. They over the last couple of years have been working towards their new set of rules, which is out in the wild, and this gives people an opportunity to dive in and pick up a couple of different sets to start playing out the games. So this comes with the rules alongside the quick reference book there, as you can see. There's also a whole host of downloadable starter scenarios and things you can get on their website if you dive in and start playing the game. In terms of miniatures, you get your sort of task force. So you've got your CQB elements, as you can see there. So for getting stuck into close quarters battles on the tabletop, armed with all sorts of bits and pieces. And they're going to be going up against your insurgent fighters. So it's pretty much set up for you to play all kinds of games across any conflict that's going on in the sort of modern era, really. If you wanted to do it Hollywood style, you could. If you wanted to try and make it more historical, in quotes, then you could do that as well and sort of play around with that. They've also done a bunch of additional sort of options for you to expand your kit even further. So the insurgents get themselves a commander miniature that you can throw into the mix alongside an RPG 29 team as well, which that guy's definitely going to fall over and it's going to look hilarious on a Vine. Not a Vine. That doesn't exist anymore. A TikTok video somewhere. Show my age.
What the hell's a Vine?
Exactly. There's also a task force grenadier that's going to be added into the mix alongside an enforcer, which is very cool. And there's also a spike team as well. So if you're looking to blow up armor and all sorts of different things, or technicals and things, they've got them in.
He looks far too happy.
He does. Well, hey, I just blew some shit up.
That's why he's happy.
Exactly. There's also a selection of terrain that you saw coming in the starter set as well, which was 3D printed by them. So it's that nice high quality stuff that they do. So you'll be able to dive in and play around with your ultra modern games. If you've not tried Spectre before, it's really cool because it's one of those games that kind of harks back to that kind of Games Master style affair. So it's nice, obviously, to play it 1 versus 1 or try and do it cooperatively against the game itself and playing around with the insurgents and things. But it shines when you've got a games master sort of watching over the game and throwing interesting things at you as you're going through the game, like ambushes and all that kind of stuff. So I'd heartily recommend that if you're excited by that kind of Call of Duty style gameplay on the tabletop. So make sure to go and check that out.
What is that? It's 28 or is it slightly bigger?
28.
28s, yeah. And they've got some beautiful miniatures, especially the...
They really do, yeah.
Oh, the Hollywood bad guys, like the bank robbers. Yes. They're one of my favorite sets they've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have a Chuck Norris, though?
No, but there's a John Wick and all sorts of fun bits and pieces in there if you want to play around with that and have some fun.
But I want a Chuck Norris Delta Force guy.
Chuck Norris is old, man.
With his twosies.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris isn't cutting edge modern.
Have you seen Delta Force, the movie? Doesn't matter.
I will let you into a secret here. Even in the day, Chuck Norris was not cutting edge.
Well, that's true, yes.
Never been cutting edge.
Yeah.
But hey-ho.
Yeah.
What is cutting edge, though? Halo.
I
very much believe that this is the thing what the kids do.
Yeah. So we haven't had a couple of weekenders for a while, but this when this news came out, we're sort of looking at this. So you can dive in and get your hands on the pre-orders for Halo Flashpoint from the folks at Mantic Games. There are a couple of different options for you to choose from when you dive in. And yes, they have revealed elites. I'm just going to throw that in the mix now. Elites are coming. Yay. So for those people,
looks like
all the way
Future
back.
Wars.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
like
for those
Wars.
people wanting to dive in and have some fun with Halo, there's a couple of different sets for you to choose from. If you're just starting out and you want to just dive in and play some games and you're like, this seems like a fun idea, what's this all about? There's the Recon Edition. So this comes with 8 pre-assembled, pre-colored Spartan miniatures you can see there, red versus blue.
Red versus
Classic.
blue.
Do you know what's funny about that? Is that
R.I.P. Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, is that red versus blue isn't even a thing anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
As it finally comes to tabletop, here's a red team and a blue team. That ain't a thing anymore.
Yeah. I'm still going
That
to...
has always been a thing. That's how Osprey have done their military manuals for years.
Yeah, but I mean,
Blue Army.
I mean, in the Halo universe, red versus blue just isn't a thing anymore.
I don't know what that is. So
We need a caboose and a Sarge, and then we're all...
It used to be...
It's how Milky Way advertised their chocolate back in the day too.
Yes.
Red versus blue.
Oh, the red car and the blue car had a race.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it used to be the multiplayer. All the baddies was red, and you were blue. And then they had this web series, Red versus Blue, which was just people nattering away with, what was it called? That machinima style stuff.
Was their style.
Yeah, it's all
filmed in the video games.
Yeah. Well, that's gone away now.
It has.
And everybody running around in the game is all multicolors.
Well, just like that.
Yeah, just like that. So how to put it like you have to have an outline around people to see who's baddies now.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, I used to be able to sniff a baddie out from a mile away. No problem. Now I'll set my flipping outline to pink or something, but we'll play on a map that's predominantly pink, and I'm like, I can't see squat.
Well, we know what Lloyd's doing when he gets his miniatures, just keeping them red and blue. So yes, the set also the recon set also comes with a whole bunch of that. No,
I'm going to glue a string around them that looks like an outline,
like the Ready Brack man.
Stop talking about the bloody video game. It's crap. Move on.
The whole thing's based in the bloody video game.
Yeah, and the video game's crap.
Oh,
the miniatures could be great.
Don't sign them off. So yes, the set comes with, as you can see, there was also some quick and easy buildable terrain. So they've done that, so you can just slot it together and away you go. You also get things like the rule book, the gaming mat, the dice, the tokens, the cards to represent all your characters and things. And the Recon Edition is effectively there for people who are like, cool, this seems fun. I just want to dive in and play around with it. If you're interested mechanically in the game, it's got kind of like built on the basis of Dead Zone, effectively. So if you're a fan of that, then you're obviously going to be a fan of this, I think.
Well, in our salute video, Ronnie takes us through it a little bit.
He does, takes us through a gameplay term, which is cool, or an activation anyway.
Activation,
we also have the Spartan edition, so this is the big boy edition, which comes with 16 Spartans with various different weapon combinations. So with the 8, you obviously only get a certain degree of variation in terms of the weapon choices and things. Doesn't necessarily matter in the game anyway, because you're going to be picking up all sorts of different things when you're playing the game, regardless. But this will allow you to sort of chop and change things and make your team fit how you like your Spartans to look. If you want to have everyone running around with needlers, I'm sure you could work that out somehow. The most useless weapon in Halo, in my opinion, anyway.
Do we know how elites work? Are they a playable faction, or are they more like a AI?
Yeah, they've got cards. You can see them over there.
Do people play them, or does the game sort of just do it?
No, you can add them in, so you can use them in the game. You can use them in your squad, which is cool. They're also going to be expanding that even further as they go deeper into the game and stuff. So if you are a fan of the Banished and stuff like that, there will be options in the future. I would assume we're going to see things like brutes and stuff coming to the tabletop as well. But
brutes would be massive.
Look, they're so nice.
Those are nice.
There's that weapon you love.
Needlers, energy swords. Yum, yum.
2-gun needle action.
Yeah. I hate the super needle. It's broken.
I've played Infinite and I still don't remember what the super needler is now. So
it's that needler, but in a super fashion where it just kicks your ass within seconds. Right. I hate it. It's broken.
Interesting thing about the set as well, it's got reversible like terrain and game mats. So if you want to play in different environments, you can do, which I think is a really nice touch. But yes, effectively the Spartan Edition is just the bigger, better, badass version of what is already out there in the world.
Is the lower edition reversible too on the old terrain side? Because it's the same
I think it
card
does.
stuff, isn't it?
It does,
it's the same stuff.
Yeah.
What's the mat? Is it like a rollout sheet or
no?
neoprene?
That'll just be paper for the box sets.
Mats.
But considering they've done neoprenes for Dead Zone, I'd be very surprised if they didn't do it for Halo as well.
Yeah. Is the grid size the same though? You could just use one of your current mats for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which means if you're sitting with a load of Dead Zone stuff already, then you're
sorted,
ahead
especially
of the game.
On the terrain front as well.
Yeah.
They are also doing things like terrain sets and stuff. So if you are interested in expanding it, you can do that. The other thing is they've teamed up with the Army Painter, so you can get yourself a paint set, which comes with
Master Chef.
The options for you to paint all sorts of different Spartans, and of course you get a Master Chief miniature as well, which is very nice. So yes, if you're interested in picking that up, playing as John 117, then you've got some cool options there as well, which I think is a really nice little touch. Especially if you're someone who's maybe new to miniatures games and you're coming to it from Halo. This is a really nice little touch, I think. So yeah, well, very, very nice. So
I mean, the fact that you can just go ahead and run them as red and blue, I imagine a lot of board game people will do that.
We'll just do that out of the box,
just to get scared by glue and stuff.
If you just washed them and brutally dry brushed them.
Oh, they wouldn't even go that far. So the board gaming community, it's a terrible community full of terrible people.
How dare you?
I remember when Dreadball came out, and then the Mantic got complaints from board game people
Why are my models
because
broken?
my models are broken. It's like, no, you assemble them. What? So they've stopped doing that now because board game people just the worst.
My models are broken.
Yeah. So they're assembled and coloured.
I will say once again, Mantic knocking it out of the park with their IP models. There are things I could say about their other games, but I think all the things they do about their IP. So it's okay, Jerry. Calm down.
I noticed you waited till I was in a different country before you started that.
But all of their IP stuff is just glorious. I think they do a fantastic job on it, and it looks amazing. So yes, great stuff there on that front.
Yeah, and solid little game as well to go with. I like the energy shields regenerating as well. So you've really got to knock somebody down hard in one go. Because if you go sort of spread your love across the board, then all you're going to do is annoy them for a turn, and then you're going to get your face punched in.
You've tickled my shields.
Yeah. So
fully charged plasma pistol for the way. Take down the shields. Headshot.
Did they say how closely the game follows? Like, is it like playing the multiplayer where you have to like capture the flag and stuff like that, or is it all basically killing each other? Did they say?
No, there's
different game modes.
There are different game modes, including Capture the Flag, King of the Hill, and then other things that Ronnie said that
Oddball, Team
Oddball,
Deathmatch.
Yeah. So you can see here at the back, there are flags for the Capture the Flag and spawn points and stuff like that.
CTF.
Yeah. So essentially it's the Dead Zone engine tweaked to make it similar to Halo with the likes of the energy seals and things like that. And then the rest of it is the scenarios that you play to see how the games go. So that plus the weapon spawns, meaning you can run around picking up weapons. So you can build your little team to begin with, where you can run off and go, well, there's a massive hammer that I really want to hit you in the face with.
I wonder if I can throw the oddball off the map just to annoy people, because that's how you do it in the video game. Oh, they're going to get me. Going to respawn. Throw the oddball. Throw the oddball. Oh, I've done it. And it's so annoying.
So what we're going to see is we're going to see Mantic's official version of the rules, and then there'll be Lloyd's cheat version, cheesy version of how to play Halo Flashpoint, effectively.
Yeah. You too can lose what little friends you had in real life by playing as if you were never going to meet them, like online. And that's the reason people do that online, because they're never going to meet people.
Can you G-slide in it? Oh.
Sure.
That would be amazing.
Once again, this will be Lloyd's version of the rulebook.
Halo, you used to kind of just wander about shooting people. Now you slide around on your horse all over the place. It's so annoying.
Like Call of Duty. Yeah.
I'm so very confused.
Anyway.
Take me away from this, Ben.
From Lloyd's revised now rules for Halo Flashpoint to another revised edition of a game. Fortune and Glory from the amazing folks at Flying Frog Productions is available to order as their new revised edition of the game. If you have not heard of Fortune and Glory, where have you been? It's a game that has been out for a very long time from these folks, and it is the quintessential pulp adventure board game on the tabletop. You can either play this cooperatively or competitively. If you're playing it competitively, then you'll be acting as treasure seekers and relic hunters, running around the world trying to pick up as many different treasures as you can and artifacts before the other players, based on the player limit in the game. It can go from 1 to 8, which is insane. If you're playing it cooperatively, then you'll be working to try and collect as many relics and stuff before the villainous organizations get stuck in and start to try and take them off you and all sorts of good things. It is full of all of the amazing pulp things that you would imagine. So there's people with whips, there's people running around with submachine guns, delving into tombs. There's your strange, pulpy Nazi types as well, running around, having fun, trying to, open arcs of covenants and all sorts of different things in between as well. The revised edition itself comes with an updated rulebook, which has got some additional bits and pieces in there for running around in temples. There's also errata for the 13 years that this game has been around for, which is insane. And it's still a big event game that people dive in and play around with, which is really good. There's also a few additional components in there as well, which is quite nice.
So you still get to run into people's temples and take all their stuff?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So it's not like Tomb Raider where you have to protect all the stuff. No, you still go in and raid all the stuff and take it with you.
This is Lara Croft Evolved.
100%. It is the mid-30s. Nazis are in power. Hitler sent a load of them off across the globe to try and find all sorts of weird and wacky esoterica
Yes.
So this is pre-war,
Mhm.
and you and your extravagant fortune hunters are out and about, also trying to steal everything, screaming it belongs in a museum, while at the same time selling it to people.
So everybody's a baddie.
Everybody is a
Belongs
baddie
in
all
my
the time.
own museum at home, behind the bookcase. You'll also notice that the same fantastic art style of Frying Flog is in there. So it's all of the actual actors, like done as like B-movie people, which is great as photos, which I think is brilliant.
Even the miniatures, because when I unboxed it, I was looking at it, and the miniatures are very close to the as far as the hero characters go, to the people playing them.
Yeah. They've also done some like bits and pieces to kind of like revise the package and stuff. So the original Fortune and Glory came in like a coffin box.
Yeah.
This one has been slimmed down so it fits onto your Kallax, which I think is quite good. I mean, it's still a hefty boy, but they've done a lot to kind of like tweak things like the cards and everything in there.
I was going to pick it up.
But it's still quite heavy, I would.
I will say there's a ton of additional room in that box. They did do expansions in the past.
They did, and they're all still applicable. They all still work. So,
which means potentially then it looks like they would all condense down into the one box, or at least a significant amount of them would condense down into that box, so that you're not having to worry about having multiple different things sitting on a shelf. You just go, well, here it is. Here's it, one and done.
Fortune and Glory all in one place.
All in one place. But yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. I think we're going to get together and have a game of this.
Yes.
Because it's.
Can we see the minis again as you're talking?
Yeah, it's that modularity of replayability when you're generating the artifacts and finding out where they're going to go and how you're going to be dealing with them. So you're never just going, well, it's always going to be the same things at the same place. You can write your own little pulp adventures as you run around and get trapped in a temple filling with quicksand, or, have to fight your way out of the middle of some sort of terrible nest of snakes in the middle of God knows where, It's
Nazi snakes, the worst kind of snakes.
Nazi snakes, the worst kind of snakes.
Is somebody getting a phone call? It sounds an awful lot like someone's getting a phone call right in the middle of the show.
It does. If it's any help, it's only the doctor.
So. Oh, dear. Just to check that you haven't died.
That's me, yeah.
But yes, lots of cool stuff on that front. If you're looking for a big pulpy event game for you to dive into and have some fun with, definitely go and check out Fortune and Glory in the revised edition. We'll have more on that in the coming weeks. But yeah, very cool.
Cool and the gang. Right. Conquest.
Yes.
A whole new world of lore coming, which makes sense considering that they've introduced a whole new faction to the game of late as well.
So the folks at Parabellum are starting to take pre-orders for their new lore campaign pack for Conquest, which is called Crucible of Wills, the Stoneface campaign. And this is a set that allows you to dive into the game, maybe with another player, maybe with your club, however you want to do it. With the 100 Kingdoms going up against the Dweghom in a battle for conquest over the realms. On the one side, you have Eric Schleur, who is that fellow with the fantastic mace and shield, who is armed to the teeth and ready to lead his 100 Kingdoms into battle against the Dweghom. There is also the mighty Stoneface King, who is leading the way as well, Ragodash, who is going to be making sure that even if you do step into his territory, he's going to make it very, very hard for you. The new set comes with those 2 exclusive miniatures, as you can see there, alongside as a full set of command cards for you to use them on the game, alongside a big campaign booklet as well, which has been designed to take you through the narrative adventures on the tabletop. So if you're somebody who likes a little bit of Conquest and you wanted to take things a different direction and explore the new expanding lore for the game, this is a new one. I think it looks fantastic. Definitely on the side of the Dweghom. Ting ding, Stoneface King.
Really?
Win. Who would have thought it?
It surprised me.
Yeah.
A choice of humans or dwarves, and you've plumped with the dwarves.
Yeah, I mean, had to.
Talk about going against type.
There are also 2 additional sets that they've released alongside this. So these are actually STL files that you can download to build modular terrain for both the 100 Kingdoms and the Dweghom to enhance your tabletops. The campaign pack comes with vouchers to get your hands on these, although you can actually buy these separately as well if you would prefer. So if you're diving in to play some games of Conquest and you want to make some thematic tables, you've got those choices there. And as Jerry was saying, with new factions and new lore coming, it's a great opportunity to dive in effectively and start exploring the world of and Conquest for yourself, either in the large scale Last Argument of Kings or in your smaller scale First Blood skirmishes instead.
Have they said who's doing the 3D sculpts for these?
I can't remember actually.
I want to say, did Titan Forge do them at one point for them? Was it something like that? I know
they look they look quite similar to those, don't they?
I know they buddied up with a 3D sculpting team like that before, so I'm assuming it's that. That's a nice thing because it's a bigger scale. And getting your hands on relevant terrain in the specific style is also quite tricky as well. So, so it's nice that they've done this. It'll be fascinating to see where this goes, and obviously when the city-states arrive, how much more spectacular it looks compared to everybody else's.
Yes.
When you look at the design of them, too, you can see that they've very much been designed with print this part separate to this part and then stick it all together.
Yeah. But I think they're great.
There.
I should also point out as well, it's not mentioned here, but there isn't a 2-player starter set, a new one out for the game. So if you are interested in things like the City-States and the Sorcerer Kings, you can get your hands on that. And it comes with all the miniatures you need to play Last Argument Kings and First Blood, because of course, the skirmish game moving into a mass battle one. And it's a great opportunity for you to dive in and start playing the game for yourself. Or maybe just start off those new armies for the 100 Kingdoms and the Dweghom and go down that route instead. Yes, very cool.
Yeah, especially now that there's more things coming. I don't know if you've seen the Iron Drake.
I have. Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. That's a hell of a beast.
And you thought the T-Rex was big.
I thought the T-Rex was big. T-Rex is nothing. Brontosaurus is nothing. The Iron Drake is absolutely redonkulous.
The big Bernie man, big Bernie dwarf on the top. Not dwarf, sorry. Justin would correct me.
My favourite is the dead Dweghom on the back of that. But the new tweaked edition of Last Argument of Kings as well is a really good step from the previous edition. So if people haven't had a look at it, the rule books are all online. And it just plays much smoother and a bit quicker as well. I've been told by somebody who has actually managed to get some games on the table. Myself and Shay will have to come back to that. I have to poke him with some more of my Spires. I know how he enjoys it. Right. We have one last piece of news. And it is Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, so just to cap things off, pre-orders for this week, whilst fourth edition is just around the corner, there are still some releases coming out for third edition and some rules as well for you to dive into. So the new Darkoath army set is going to be available this weekend for you to pre-order, which comes with all of your new swanky marauders for use on the battlefield. The set comes with 20 Darkoath marauders that could be split down into 2 units of 10 if you prefer. Or you can double them up and reinforce them, however you wish. These are the replacements for the very, 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 very old plastic marauders that have been around since Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and quite far back in time anyway, actually. Even when I started, they had those plastic miniatures. Actually, no, they would have been metal to begin with, and then they moved over to plastic. But anyway, I digress. You get some new fancy sculpts for your Darkoath Marauders to use on the tabletop, looking very nice indeed. Lots of different options in there when it comes to sculpts. You've got lots of men and women, which I think is quite a nice little mix. Shows the breadth of the tribes that they have to play around with there. There's also miniatures for the 5 Darkoath Fell Riders as well. So if you want some cavalry to charge into the heart of the action, you've got some options on that front as well. It's so nice that they've done such glorious miniatures for things that are going to die in droves. You're going to take so long painting those horses and those characters in the back, and then they're going to be dead in seconds. But there we go.
It's a terrible thing to say. They might survive.
Let me shoot my cannons at them and we'll see.
Fair enough.
But there's also a character miniature in the set as well. So there's the Chieftain on Warsteed, who comes with different head and weapon options as well. So if you want to run a couple of those, you've got a couple of nice opportunities to change things up. You could obviously do a little bit of kit bashing if you wanted to match them to various different types of gods and things on the tabletop. And then capping things off, there is also the Wilder Fiend. So whilst the Darkoath don't necessarily follow the Chaos Gods as you would imagine them to be, like Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, etc., they worship elements of the Chaos Gods. Sometimes the heroes of the Darkoath get overwhelmed by the power of the Dark Gods, and they turn into these mutant creatures that then stalk around with the tribe and protect them from outsiders, because they are still tied to their brethren, even after they have been changed. As you see, 2 different head options there. I much prefer the closed jaw. I think it looks a lot less derpy. Very much.
Yeah, I was just looking at that massive gummage there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's a shocking amount of gums.
Yeah. I collect horses.
Have you never seen dogs smiling? Looks just like that.
Oh, I've never seen a dog smile.
You're missing out.
I don't spend a lot of time talking to dogs.
They can't look up. They can. As well as the miniatures in the set, you also get a couple of additional bits and pieces in there. So you get your War Scroll cards. You also get a Battle Tome supplement for the Darkoath included in the set, as you can see. However, these are all going to be available for free on Warhammer Community as well. So you'll be able to find all the rules, as you would do for Age of Sigmar, online to play with your armies. So if you have all your old models, you can just still use them in your games on the tabletop. I really like the design of these. I think they look awesome. It's about time they got upgraded. I will say they've probably only done it because they have to take those old Marauder kits and put them back into the old world. Yeah. But it's a good opportunity for them to update the range and have them included in the game.
Is he wearing that thing's face as a nose bag?
Oh,
Actually,
maybe.
Yeah. An old Wilder Fiend added to there. That's quite interesting.
Can you buy the Wilder Fiend separately? Because I think that's the coolest bit.
You will be able to separately. Obviously, the army set will have them all bundled together for at least a couple of months, but then they'll all be available separately, I would assume, when the new edition of Age of Sigmar rolls around, so you can build your own thematic armies for the Darkoath. But there we go.
There you go. If you're a fan of Frank Frazetta, you too can get a copy of Death Dealer there, leading your Chaos Marauders.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It's nice when somebody else does the design work for you, isn't it, GW? Because I know you all bitch whenever it goes the other way. Right. That's enough news for today. Let's have a quick swish, and when we come back, we'll be rounding out the show. Okay, we're back, and we're ready to take a look at some 3D printing. You've gone all warpy on us.
I have, yes.
And piratey. Is this because Salute was all pirate-based?
Yes,
feeling the pirate urge?
Yeah, and Alex is irresistible.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Was it parody based though? I didn't see any pirate dressed up as pirates.
Well, no, people
Annie and Louise were dressed up as pirates.
Oh, well, that's good, because I remember the year we went over and it was cowboy based and we all dressed up in Western stuff.
With your assless chaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Andy with his big sombrero.
Yeah. There were a few piratey miniatures released. But anyway, Warp have been working on some stuff for this month that I wanted to show off because they just look fantastic. We've talked about Warp in the past. They do fantastic stuff every month. They do a bundle of goodies that you can download and print off. Normally in a modular style, so you can build them however you like and start building up interesting warbands or crews. In this case, a crew with the pirates. And yes, this is the gaggle that you'll be able to get your hands on this time around. All sorts of salty sea dogs and everything else in between. I was particularly drawn to this because the blonde character in the middle reminded me of Guybrush Threepwood, and I was like, Monkey Island! So I was sold. But yes, it's a lovely little assortment of crew members for you to use with the modular nature, as you can see there, so you can throw on whatever weapons you desire, depending on how you want to do it. You've got your boarding axes and your cutlasses and your hooks.
A lot of
pistols.
hooks.
Lots of hooks. Lots of hands lost in the pursuit of booty.
Oh, they're
so
both left and right.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just have a ring of pirates with nothing but hook hands.
Exactly. I really like the head options they've done as well. I think there's some really nice characterful ones in there. But then again, Warp Miniatures do fantastic sculpting. There's even a lovely little powder monkey and a couple of parrots in the mix as well, which is nice to see. But it's just a glorious little set. I think it would be nice to see, as I said, like Guybrush is in there. If you painted him up in that fashion from Monkey Island, maybe this could be a LeChuck before he gets all zombified later on down the line. That could be quite fun.
Spoilers.
Well, oh, yeah, spoilers for those ancient games. The new one's out and it's meant to be very good as well. I need to get that, but there we go.
Plus, you can play like the Monkey Island the adventures that they added to the Sea of Thieves as well.
Oh, yes, there you go. Oh, yeah. Oh, when that comes to PlayStation, I can indulge in that. That would be nice. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you could.
Absolutely.
Rather than being on the high seas like you should be getting sunk by me.
Oh, yeah. Well, from the way that you've talked about it, I think I'm just going to have nothing but pain and misery when I start playing. But there we go. But
Good
yeah,
to set your expectations early, though.
yeah. But yeah, really nice stuff there, as you can see. Loads of modular bits and pieces. It'll be fun to see whether or not they do more in following months, because sometimes you'll get like a part 1 and a part 2. They did that for things like the gnomes in sort of like 10 mil and stuff.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where they go with it. I mean, you don't necessarily need loads of additional miniatures for this, but if you are excited on expanding your crew, hopefully we'll see some stuff in the near future. I will also say, great opportunity to go and maybe play some games, some pirate games. I talked about Black Scorpion's Cutlass, which will be a name familiar to people who played games like a decade ago. If you want to dive in and play that, the rules are free for it. Give it a shot. It's pretty good. So,
Nothing wrong with decade-old rules.
No, of course.
It shows they're solid.
Yes, it does. It was one of the first games I played personally that came with polydice for all the different stats. It blew my mind. Yeah.
You could get ready for Port Royal.
Oh, yes, that's coming out as well. Yeah, from the folks at Firelock. Very, very cool.
Do a more Hollywood version of exploring the wrecked and battered town of Port Royal instead of being full-on historical.
Yeah. I will also point out, if you're interested in looking at more from the Warp range and you want to get your hands on the miniatures physically, there are a couple of different options for you. So if you do not have a 3D print, but you still like what you see from Warp, you can go over to Only Games and you can download a whole bunch of their stuff over there, including a talking mongoose, because why not? Which is very, very nice to see. So if you like a lot of their fantasy stuff, they've now made all of their warbands available through there. It's actually pretty good value when you go over to the Only Games stuff and have a look at their stuff. Hashtag not sponsored. But yes, there's lots of really fun stuff over there for you to go and check out, especially if you're someone who, like me, doesn't have a 3D printer. And also, if you like their tiny stuff, so we were talking about things like their Beast Folk and stuff, you can go and get all of their 10 mil stuff from Gumroad if you prefer.
You could put these up against those 10 mil heroic Romans when they come out.
Oh my God, an undead whale.
I'll teach them.
Why didn't Caesar tell me about this? I didn't sign up for it.
It's best that we don't.
Yeah.
But look, there's somebody
10 mil undead pirates as well. Yes. There's you, Chuck. He's even got the same peg leg. It's the same person.
Yes, it is.
He swapped his parrot for another seabird, a seagull.
Seagull bugs, yeah.
Yeah. Seagulls are the more annoying, so that makes sense they'd hang out with zombies. Yeah.
Well, with the big weird ass tip to its beak, it could be a dodo.
Perfect for oh yeah, it could be actually.
At least they're not going to wander off and fly away on you.
And it would literally be dead as a dodo.
Undead dodo.
By the way, for all fans of Simon Pegg out there, that was a terrible film. Don't watch it. Just saying. If you're wondering, Jeff the Talking Mongoose, terrible film. But really nice stuff from Warp. I really like that.
Yeah.
He's such a characterful way of sculpting faces.
Yes.
And they have that animated cartoon look to them.
It's very Aardman, I think.
Yeah.
In style. Like I could easily see him doing like a Wallace and Gromit style thing. Do that next.
Because you look at it and you're going, well, some of that comes down to the painting. But when you look at the actual renders, they all have those big orbs.
Easier
of
for painting eyes.
Yeah. So, even if you're going to throw a wash on them and then just wipe them back in again, at which point you're going to have a load of zombie pirates in quick order. But it has a really unique look to it that you don't see anybody else sort of taking this fully animated cartoon style, I think, and throwing on the tabletop so much. Everybody's generally after realism.
Is this the only pirates then at this cut?
This is the pirate set for this month. They've done.
But are there more pirates, or is it coming, or what?
I'm hoping there will be more pirates. That's what I'm saying. But they also do the 10 mil undead pirates as well.
Yeah. You never know. Like say the gnomes, which was a good proxy for Goblins was spread over 2 months, and by the end of it, you had every unit type.
It was the best-selling range they'd done since they started the Patreon.
That makes sense. Because I've seen people like Goram.
Yes,
paid up a whole slew of them. So there's some really, really interesting bits and pieces.
You didn't have to do your gnome army in the end, Lloyd.
No.
No. Yeah.
I got beat to the punch.
But yes, definitely worth checking out Warp, not just for the pirates, but like we say, for those other ranges as well.
Links will all be down below.
Because it's not just Ark World these days. It's so much more beyond. Right. We have a couple of crowdfunders.
Yes, just to finish things off.
Yeah. And we're going to be starting by doing some laundry. Must be the weekend.
Yeah. So the Laundry role-playing game, based on the work of Charles Stross, who wrote the Laundry Files book series, came up. It has existed as a role-playing game before, but it is now back with a new edition on Kickstarter from the folks at Cubicle 7. If you are into your eldritch, strange, occult occurrences throughout the British Isles, then this is definitely the game for you to dive into and have some fun with. Think Lovecraftian, but with a twist of the British about it.
So Lovecraft mixed with The Office.
Yes, pretty much. You've got a bit of red on you. So yes, you are part of the branch of the British Secret Service that has been sort of tasked with preventing all sorts of strange occult things happening throughout the world, mostly within England. As they said, you'll be sent to such exotic locations as London, Wolverhampton, and Milton Keynes. Because who'd want to go to Milton Keynes? Sorry,
there has to be a reason it was designed that way. And
That's
if the occult was not involved, I'd be very surprised.
But you mostly spend your day job acting as one of these civil servants, effectively stuck behind a computer, working on all sorts of different things, getting tea, making sure that your boss has everything they need for their next meeting. But then occasionally you'll get drafted in to go on all sorts of strange occult missions, maybe accompanying the SAS to go and close cosmic portals and everything else in between. And that's where you'll be able to use all your different gadgets and magical items and everything else in between in order to try and take on these foes. So yes, you play mild-mannered, normal people who get thrust into terrible situations where there's a lot of bureaucracy helping you through your day. When they come back to this new second edition of the game, they've employed their C7D6 system, which will be familiar to people who have played Soulbound and from the Warhammer world. They've got a couple of different books for you to dive into. So there's the Operative's Handbook, the Supervisor's Guide, so one for players and one for those running the games. There's also a new Jobs book, which has been designed, so you can dive in and play out a whole bunch of different one-shots, because you might not come back to your job, alongside all sorts of other things to get you involved in the game. And there is also a new introductory book as well. So if you are completely new to the Laundry and you want to dive in and have some fun with it, there is one specifically designed for you to have some fun with. So yes, 4 big books and a whole host of additional props and more added into this mix for you to have some fun with the Laundry. And stretch goals are unlocking even more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've always liked the Laundry. Because it combines my love of cock with paranoia. Yes. So you're having to deal with the occult, but you're also having to deal with the soul-crushing
middle management
and bureaucracy. So the original version ran off the Call of Cthulhu license. So it was the old percentile system. So don't know how much of a difference it will make changing over to the C76, but the whole idea is, you're running about essentially maths. Magic is just applied maths. People have looked into it, and esoteric and occult formulas and rituals were just, ways of trying to manipulate things. And people have just go, well, really, when you get right down to it, that's just maths and numbers, and physics. Therefore, what would have taken, teams of ritualists and wizards chanting at moonlight for a month at a time, we can now do a lot of this computational work with computers, and achieve the same effects. So it's an interesting
digital demons and everything else in between.
Blend of stuff.
Cool.
I've never got around to reading the books. Although we did jump in and out of laundry for RPG games quite a lot.
That's cool.
So
Yeah.
I must have a butcher's at some point of the actual source material that it came with. I do absolutely love the artwork. The art design they've gone with here is absolutely
Very
batshit
wild.
insane. Yeah. There's a man who has just had to fill in his TPS report. nothing to do with the soul crushing horrors or any other gribblies coming his way. It's just like, oh my god, I've got to sort this out before my loot time balance is scrubbed. Yeah, so you all work for the SOE, doing the Lord's own work, or in this case, the government's work.
Yes.
So yeah,
I always like the whole.
This.
I always like the whole underdog thing where you're not really fully equipped for what you're dealing with, but as you go through things and you start to learn and develop as characters, you become, proficient at it, and yet no one really acknowledges your work and all that kind of stuff. I think it's a really cool little edge.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to an adventure in a paper merchants in Slough. I think that'd be quite fun. So yeah.
It also has that obviously they used to recruit for spying by going to like Oxbridge or whatever and finding people of requisite and then just tapping them up. And I imagine something similar happens with this, where people are just going, except they're spending a lot of time at the maths departments instead.
You've got a thirst for your paper on astrophysics or something. You can come work for us.
The pay's low, but the work's potentially life-threatening. So
Astro demon physics. But
yeah. Looks like it should be absolutely cracking. 11 days left to run on it and massively funded already. Just goes to show the thirst for people to do their laundry.
Yeah.
Right. Our last crowdfunder is from Loki.
Yeah. So this is Loki, as we've now learned that's how it's pronounced. Back on backer kit this time with a new campaign for the Calendar of Many Adventures 2025. So get your plans in early. This follows on from the very successful Calendar of Many Adventures for 2024, as you might have imagined, which comes with 12 beautiful battle maps for you to dive into for 5th
Why are they wrapped around boxes?
I'll explain it in a second, Lloyd. So, this campaign is mostly focused around the Calendar of Many Adventures, which, as I say, contains 12 adventures, so one every month. You'll get a battle mat at the top, and then you'll also have all the dates and things underneath it, like a normal calendar, as you might have imagined. And then there'll be a QR code at the bottom, which will take you to a fully written and in-depth scenario for you to play out during your games. So as we've said when we've discussed things like the Calendar of Many Adventures before, if you're someone who finds it really, really hard to get a session done, at least you can play one a month, because there's just find a day within that 30 or 31 or whatever and just sit down and play. And you've already got an encounter sorted and ready to go. All your villains are sorted, all your NPCs are done. So you can just dive in and have some fun. The actual QR code link will take you to all of the stuff you need rules-wise, but it'll also come with lots of additional optional extras as well. So there'll be things like little tiny pieces of flat terrain that you can add onto your boards, and then that means you can use them in future things. And of course, because this is a calendar, you can just cut off each of these mats as you go through the year, and then add them to your Dungeon Tile collection at the end of it. Mind blown. Amazing. Now we come to the presents that you so astutely noticed. In addition to doing the Calendar of Many Adventures, because people have things like birthdays and Christmas, they've also included a set of gift wrap paper for you to get your hands on, so you can wrap up everything to make your dungeon delving friends very, very happy indeed. Alongside
I would hate
RPG.
that.
Why would you hate that?
If anybody gave me that parcel, I would hate it.
Why?
Because I would be sitting there going, how in the hell do I open this and save the paper?
Without ruining it.
Without ruining it. I'd be there for ages trying to peel the tape away without wrecking the thing.
Yeah, but anybody who's going to give this as a gift, I imagine, has got the joy of Scotch tape in their house, which is really easy to remove.
There we go. Yeah, so they'll do the right thing for you. Yeah. Of course, you could obviously just use this as dungeon delving paper and just screw the presents.
Yeah, well, that's right. Just throw the socks away.
Yeah. They're also doing
next year. Why has this box never been opened? I just play on top of it. But what about the stuff inside it? I don't know what's inside it.
Play around it, yes.
Let's hope it wasn't perishable.
Yeah. It was a puppy. In addition to the gift wrap paper, there's also a set of RPG greeting cards for you to pick up as well. So if you're somebody who wants to make your friends happy with a big pile of dice or a dragon, you've got some options there as well, which I think is quite nice. With lovely art by Jim Gray, as you can see.
Sweet.
So yes, a very fun little one there for RPG fans, and of course, if you like the look of this and you like the idea of a calendar of many adventures, this is but the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Loki battle mats. They have a whole host of amazing things that we absolutely adore, and we talk about many times.
Check out the deck of insults.
Oh yes,
just
a big dragon
great.
butt on the front.
Yep, massive butt looking at you. Right, there are 13 days left for the calendar of many adventures and gift wrapping, if you want. And it's also funded already in spades. So There we go. I think that does us for our first one back after Salute.
Oh, so much news.
Yeah.
So much to talk about.
I need to go and find some sort of lozenge. Hopefully I'll be all better come Sunday.
You should join us on the Sunday and see if he is still alive. I'm even wondering if he's going to be alive.
Time will tell. And as we know, time is a cruel mistress. You can join us for a 30-day free trial. If you're not already a cultist, just come over to OnTableTop.com and click the buttons and sign your life away. We shall be chatting all things hobby. There may be some Wargaming news as well that we're going to be exploring. So we'll see you on Sunday. And if not, we'll see you here next Friday. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.